Hi, and welcome to my channel where I love to do all types of DIYs, everything from home updating projects to budget-friendly DIY home decor. If these are things you're interested in, then I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button and become part of my DIY family. I've just got this scrap piece of cedar picket fence that we had gotten from Lowe's. Well, we got the whole board from Lowe's. This is just scrap left over from what my husband didn't need. And I'm just going to take some black paint, and this is the folk art paint in black ink. And I'm just going to cover the front, the back, the sides. And then when I'm finished with that and it's dry, I'm going to take some sandpaper and just kind of scuff it up a little bit. And then make sure we wipe off all that excess dust. Then I've got this 18 by 21 inch piece of burlap, and I am just going to trim it down. And this will end up leaving us with the 18 by 15 inch piece of burlap. And then on the shortest side, the 15 inch side, I'm just going to take that edge and I'm going to fold it up about an inch, and I'm just going to iron that down. And then I decided the material was way too wrinkled, so I'm going to iron all those wrinkles out. I think I'm going to make this edge just a little straighter because I am OCD. It's too uneven for my taste. Okay. All right, that's better. And of course, don't put it under your over your silicone mat. Make sure you move that and have your cutting mat underneath it. Oh my goodness. It's so good. Jeez. Oh, it's all good. Then I'm just going to take the piece of wood and the burlap with the rim that we folded up down on the bottom. And I'm just going to wrap it around the back. And then I'm just going to use some hot glue. And I am going to put some hot glue along that edge. Now when I fold this edge over, I want to kind of tuck it in here, like so it looks neat. And then I'm just going to use my heat press to iron that down. And then I decided that was just a little bit too much folded over, so I just trim it up a little bit. And then we're just going to run some hot glue along that seam that we folded over and glue that in place. And then we're just going to make sure the bottom edge is even, and then run some more hot glue and secure that in place. And you want to make sure this is fairly tight and trim off some of that excess hanging off. And then I definitely want to take some glue right along the seam until where the board ends. Okay, now I can flip it over. And I'm going to tie it, but I don't want that much excess, so it's looking like I'm going to trim right there. Then I'm just going to take some jute string and I'm going to tie that around, just kind of tucking it here and there just to give it the look that I'm looking for. And I do wrap that jute twine around twice and then just tie it in a bow. And I'm going to go ahead and tack it down right under the brim of the hat. Alright, so I'm going to make some eyes, and I'm first trying to get an idea on how big I want those eyes, and I'm thinking about 1.5 inches. So on a piece of cardstock, I am just going to trace me out some oval eyes. And once I get those traced out, I am going to go ahead and cut the one out. And then I'm going to use that one to trace on that cardstock for another eye. That way they're uniform, because guys, I am not a drawer. My writing hand tends to get a little shaky at times. So my straight lines are never very straight. So I've got this piece of orange foam that I am going to use to make the beak with. And if I had some orange felt, I would prefer to have used that, but this is all I had, so foam it is. All right, so I redid the nose. I thought the nose was too small, so I made a bigger one. And this is what it looks like. I just thought it needed to be more rounded, a little bit larger. And then I thought the eyes looked too big. That's what I had. And I trimmed it down to be smaller. So I'm just going to take a pencil and I am going to trace my little eye template. And I'm just going to use the same one for both eyes. That way they are even, because like I said, I can't draw. Okay, so I got the outline of my eyes, got the nose, or the beak, excuse me. I got a cat in my way, which is probably in your all's way. And now the fun part. I grabbed some white paint, and this is Fusion Casement color. And I am just going to fill in both the eyes with that paint. And I always just kind of start by tracing over where my pencil line is. That way I can make sure that is disguised. And you know, if you want to use a cutting machine like your Cricut machine to cut out some stencils, then by all means, that's a great option. That's what I wanted to do, but I wanted to go outside of my comfort zone and just try something a little different and paint these myself. Next, I'm going to take some black paint. Any black paint will suffice, and I'm going to just fill in the black of the eyes. And then once I've got the black of those eyes done, I thought I put too much black, so I went back over with the white and just kind of added some more white around the black part. And then once I'm happy with those eyes, I'm going to go ahead and glue on the beak. And I'm just going to use some hot glue, and I'm just going to place that right below those eyes. All right, so I've got some fabric that I had picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I am going to turn it into a scarf. And here I'm just trying to get an idea on where I can go ahead and cut that fabric down. All right, so the scarf length, the fabric length is 38.5, about 10.5. All right, so the side that I cut, I want to go ahead and hem that. And I'm just going to use some hot glue, and I am going to go along that edge and just fold over roughly 1/4 inch or so. And that way I don't have to worry about that unraveling. The other side already had a seam sewed into it. Once I've got that hemmed up, I am going to go along the shorter edges, and I'm just going to make some little slits with my scissors. As far as how thick, just eye preference, and I'm going to do that on both short sides. All right, now I got a little scarf. And then next I'm just going to tie that around where his neck's supposed to be. But I end up tying it in a double knot and just making sure it lays how I want it to. All right, isn't he cute, our little crow? Now I just have a few last minute details to take care of. On the top of the hat, I'm just going to pull some of those little strings out and just make it a little more rustic looking. There we go. And then on the back side of the scarf, I'm going to go ahead and use my staple gun, and I'm just going to staple in a couple of spots just so I know that that scarf is not going to fall off. And when I staple it, I kind of fold back one layer and staple it, and then that way that other layer can cover up the staples. Okay, so I've just got I don't even know what size this is. I think it's a 2x6. Yes, I've got a 2x6 and it is 7 inches tall. This was just some scrap wood I had laying in the garage. And then this is just one of those, or what are they called? Bamboo stick. All right, so I've got one of those. And we're gonna make a scarecrow face. And I'm gonna want that hat about right there and sticking out about that much. Let's get our ruler, make sure they're even on both sides. I've got it sticking out. I don't know what is up with me and never getting an even number, like, you know, a quarter. Okay, it's 1 3/4 inches hanging off the edge. So that'll be right there. And I am going to take my miter shears and look for the thing I just lost. And that's going to cut that very easily. I'm going to take some vintage linen from DIY Paint, and I am going to do a very mild dry brush. I want this piece of wood to look pretty faded, if you will. I don't want a whole lot of paint, just enough to see that it was supposed to be white at one time. All right, that's really all I want. Like I said, I wanted an extreme dry brush there. And I'm going to take some raffia and I'm just going to cut it up into little bitty pieces. And I am going to just figure out at this time where I'm going to be putting that raffia. Now the bamboo stick is pretty thin, so if you want to make it easier on yourself, you could always find something a little thicker. But with this shorter board that I've got, I just didn't think that would look right. All right, what I am gonna do is draw a line there. Then I'm just going to run some hot glue along that line and place that raffia on that area. And you want to do small sections, otherwise that hot glue is going to dry before you have a chance to get to it. Ask me how I know. But I'm going to do that all the way across. Next, I'm going to take that bamboo stick and I'm just going to place it back where I drew that line. And then I'm going to take some fine scissors and just trim off the top. And I'm doing this before I glue it down. Once we got that done, we can go ahead and glue that bamboo stick onto the top there. And then we're going to give him a little haircut. And you can just make this however you like. I think if you made the sides a little bit longer and maybe put some little bows in it, you can make a little girl scarecrow face, but mine looks more like a little boy. And then next, I'm going to take a brown paint. This is Truffle in Waverly Chalk Paint, and I am going to fill in where his hat is going to be. And I'm going to go along the top. I'm going to go along the sides. And when I go along the sides, I try to make it as straight as possible. Sorry if you hear some squeaking, but Hetty decided to bring me a ball. Okay, and then once I get the sides done, I'm going to go along that brim that we made with the bamboo stick, and I'm going to paint that. I'm going to try to get down where I glued it on the top there of the brim as close as I can. And then make sure when you're painting it, you get the back side of that brim as well. Just all angles, you want to make it look like a hat. And then I'm going to flip it onto the back side. Just draw me a little line where I think that hat would be sitting on the back of the head. And then I'm going to fill that in. All right, so we got the hat done. Now it's time to work on them dang eyes. But I'm going to grab some ribbon first and kind of get me an idea how much room I have. Okay, so I'm just going to use this ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and it's a 1.5 inch ribbon. I'm going to cut one piece to 13 inches, and then the other piece I'm just going to wrap around to see how much I can cut off. And then after seeing that piece up on the scarecrow, I thought it was a little too thick. So I am going to fold it, and I'm going to fold the bottom side up to the center, and then I'm going to fold the top side down to the center. But you'll see what I'm talking about here. Just got a piece of jute string, and then we're just going to go ahead and fold this over. See how I'm doing, just overlap it. And then we're just going to pinch that together. And then I'll take that jute string and I will wrap it around and tie it in a double knot. And you can also use zip ties for this, just whatever your preference is. You can use wire. And then the piece that we had folded, we are going to attach that, making it even with that bottom edge of the board. And we're going to glue it with hot glue. And I just trim off the end just a little bit, just to make it look nice and neat. Then I'm going to trim off the jute string on that bow and then hot glue that bow right in the center. And then I've got this little brown button, and I'm going to hot glue that on as well. All right, now it's time for the dreaded eyes. Okay, so I did go ahead and make me some templates. This time I made them into more of a teardrop shape. Okay, can you believe I got the button centered first? Wow. And then I am going to draw those eyes on with a pencil. The pointed part of the teardrop eye is going to be on the top. And I just use my ruler to make sure I have them pretty much centered. And then I'm going to use that same template for his nose, but I'm going to turn it where the pointed side is facing down. And when I do his nose, kind of change the shape of it just a little bit on the top. And then with the color pumpkin, I'm going to go ahead and fill in his nose. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take a black Sharpie, go over my pencil mark with that Sharpie, and then fill it in with the black ink color. And then I'll take some white paint and just kind of make the little whites of his eyes. I'm going to draw out his mouth with a pencil, and then go back over that with that black ink paint using a detailed paintbrush. And then I felt like it just needed a little bit of cheeks, so I am using ballet slipper. I had picked up these burlap stickers from the Dollar Tree. I always feel like their hat needs something, you know? I'm not going to use the sticker part. I'm going to use hot glue, but I don't know if I want to use that or brown. And I decided to use the brown one. All right, there he is. And all I got to do is fluff up his bow, and he's ready to be displayed. You guys have to let me know what you think about this. Which one was your favorite out of all these projects? So I have got some crochet thread is what this is. So I'm going to take some packing paper and tear it in half, and then I'm just going to shove those pieces into the center hole there. And I've got these wood spindles that I found at a little antique store here in my town. He had a bunch of them, so I grabbed up a few of them, and I thought they would make the cutest little peduncles on this. Peduncle, is that right? Peduncle? I think that's right. But I thought it would be so cute. Now when you're putting that spindle down in that hole with the paper, you're going to need to kind of maneuver the paper over to the sides a little bit so it fits in there nice and snugly. And I'm going to do that to both of my spools. Now before I start gluing anything onto that paper, I am going to prep all my picks. And I've got these little picks that have the acorns on it. And I got all of these from Hobby Lobby. And on the ends of some of those acorns had the wire that was kind of blank. And I thought it would look pretty if I kind of twisted it up, which I use my pencil to do that. And I'll do that throughout getting these stems ready to be put in there. I'm going to take this one off because I think that one's too long. And once I've got my picks prepped, I'm going to take some Spanish moss and I'm going to just shove it in that little hole, trimming it up as needed. And I'm not going to use any glue for that whatsoever. But then I'm going to take some glue on the end of my spindle. I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to start putting those picks in. Would you guys look how cute that is? How simple it is with a spindle, one little pick, and some packing paper. I love this one. This one is so freaking adorable. Now on to the orange one. Just going to repeat the process. Put my Spanish moss in, glue in this spindle. And then I'm going to take this other pick that you've seen me use in, I think it was the last video, maybe the one before. I just wrap that end around there just to keep it together. I am going to put some glue around it. And then you find yourself just having to fluff everything up. Then I've got this covered wire that I'm just going to wrap around my pencil, make those little swirly cues, and that way I've got those to put in the pumpkins as well. And to let you know, I am going to be on Whatnot. If you've not heard of that, it is a selling stream that has auctions, and I have started my own little show on there, and it's going to be coming out this Friday at 6:45 Central Time, PM, and I hope you guys will join me. I am going to be posting a link to it on my Instagram and Facebook pages, and I'll have those links in my description box. So I hope you will check those out and subscribe there. That way you will be on top of my notifications. All right, here's the other one. So what do you guys think about these? Are you a fan of them? I know I sure thought they were pretty. I saw it on Pinterest for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so pretty. I have to make some. And then everybody started making them. But that's the way it goes in the crafting industry on YouTube.